COVID-19 pandemic disrupted global supply chains like never before, exposing vulnerabilities that left businesses scrambling. From factory shutdowns to empty store shelves, companies faced unprecedented challenges that their existing systems weren't equipped to handle. In this video, we'll explore how businesses adapted to this change, the role of enterprise systems in managing supply chain disruptions, and the technology introduced to combat the pandemic.
COVID-19 revealed just how fragile and unprepared global supply chains truly are. Most companies lacked proper visibility in their operations, being only about 20% visible, while experts agree that at least 70 to 80% is needed to effectively respond to major disruptions. As the pandemic unfolded, supply chains were hit with factory shutdowns, port congestion, labor shortages, and an overdependence on single regions, especially in Asia. The result was massive shortages in everyday and critical products like computer chips, breakfast cereal, exercise equipment, and cars. Many businesses had become over-reliant on just-in-time inventory systems, which are designed to minimize storage costs by keeping only a small amount of product on hand. While efficient under normal circumstances, JIT models offer little room for error when global systems break down. Because these businesses had trimmed down safety stock and sourced products from a limited number of suppliers, they were unable to adapt quickly to the chaos of the pandemic. Another issue was the dependence on forecasting systems that relied heavily on historical purchasing data rather than real-time crisis response tools. These systems weren't built to handle a global event of this scale, and many failed to predict shifting demand patterns or adjust quickly enough to the situation. Disruptions hit both the upstream supply chain and the downstream supply chain, causing widespread issues across the entire production and delivery process.
On the upstream side, many factories were forced to shut down, especially in areas like Wuhan, China, where a large portion of the world's manufacturing takes place. This meant that raw materials, components, and other critical supplies couldn't be produced or shipped, leading to shortages in industries like automotive, electronics, and medical supplies. At the same time, the downstream supply chains, which involve the distribution of finished products to retailers and customers, also faced major delays. Congested ports, limited trucking and air cargo availability, and shifting consumer demand made it difficult. As a result, even when goods were ready, companies struggled to deliver them efficiently to customers, leading to empty shelves, back orders, and frustration buyers. These distributions expose how interdependent and vulnerable both sides of the supply chain really are.
When the pandemic hit, people's behavior changed almost overnight, sending shockwaves through nearly every sector of the global economy. Millions of individuals were suddenly unemployed due to business closures and lockdown mandates, creating unprecedented economic instability. Retail stores, restaurants, and entertainment venues were forced to shut their doors, while e-commerce saw a massive surge. Consumer demand experienced a dramatic shift, pivoting away from luxury goods and non-essentials toward necessities like hand sanitizer, cleaning supplies, canned food, and toilet paper. Panic buying and stockpiling created widespread shortages, putting immense pressure on manufacturers and retailers to keep up. Simultaneously, the global supply chain was thrown into chaos. Many companies that relied heavily on automated forecasting systems and artificial intelligence tools found that these models failed to account for the extreme unpredictable shifts in consumer behavior and logistics bottlenecks. Supply chain managers had to abandon full reliance on automation and instead began manually interpreting and adjusting predictive models to reflect the rapidly evolving reality. Human judgment, flexibility, and oversight, once increasingly sidelined by automation, suddenly became vital again. Managers had to make real-time decisions about rerouting shipments, sourcing from alternative suppliers, and managing inventory levels with limited visibility. The pandemic highlighted not only the fragility of global supply chains, but also the enduring importance of human adaptability in crisis management.
Organizations that responded well took action fast. They had to rethink their strategies and focus on building resilient supply chains by redesigning their new networks to withstand disruptions. They redesigned their supply chain workflows to prioritize resilience over cost savings. They invested in mapping their full supply networks, not just their top-tier suppliers, but the ones further down the chain. Diversification became key. Instead of sourcing everything from one region, smart companies started using multiple suppliers from different parts of the world. DealMed, a medical supply distributor, is a great example. They didn't rely solely on just-in-time systems or a single country like China. They kept more safety stock on hand and sourced from the US, Europe, and across Asia. That flexibility paid off. Safety stock is the extra inventory that a business keeps on hand to protect against unexpected shortages, delays, or spikes in demand. Think of it as a buffer. If something goes wrong in the supply chain, safety stock helps make sure the company can still fulfill customer orders without running out of products. In the past, safety stock was much more common. Back when transportation systems weren't as developed and businesses didn't have the internet or real-time communication tools to stay closely connected with suppliers and distributors, companies had to plan for uncertainty. Delays were more common and visibility into the supply chain was limited. As technology improved, especially with the rise of the internet, GPS, and inventory management systems, businesses gained the ability to track goods more accurately and communicate instantly with suppliers. This gave rise to just-in-time inventory models, where companies kept only as much stock as they expected to need in the short term. This strategy helped save money by reducing shortage costs and minimize excess inventory. As a result, many businesses stopped using safety stock or reduced it to a very low level to optimize efficiency and cut costs. However, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, it exposed the risk of relying too heavily on just-in-time models. With factories shutting down, shipping delays, and sudden changes in consumer demand, companies that didn't have enough safety stock were left scrambling.
Essential items like cleaning supplies, personal protective equipment, and household goods were out of stock everywhere. Businesses that had maintained larger safety stock levels like DealMed were better able to keep operating and meet customer needs during the chaos. The pandemic reminded companies of the value of having a buffer and highlighted that while efficiency is important, resilience is just critical, especially in global crisis. Technology played a major role in how companies attempted to navigate the supply chain chaos. But as the pandemic unfolded, it became clear that technology alone wasn't enough. Before COVID-19, many businesses had been investing heavily in supply chain automation. Tools like artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms, IoT sensors, and GPS tracking, and radio frequency identification tags were helping companies streamline operations, reduce costs, and make faster decisions. AI was used for real-time demand planning, predicting when and where goods would be needed based on past trends. IoT sensors monitored the movement of production, transit, RFID tags, helping track inventory across warehouses and stores. The machine learning models recommended optimal inventory levels. These tools were designed for stability.
When the pandemic hit, everything changed. Demand patterns flipped overnight. Historical data became irrelevant, and the models built on years of predictable consumer behavior started giving inaccurate recommendations. One major example is Walmart. Their state-of-the-art supply chain systems, normally known for efficiency, couldn't handle the chaos. Their AI began making flawed predictions on how many products, like diapers or garden hoses, they needed to keep on the shelves. The systems relied too much on past data and not enough on current context, causing delays and missed opportunities. The lesson was clear. Technology works best when it can adapt, and when humans are still involved in the loop. Another problem was data fragmentation. Even companies with modern tools still had siloed systems, where one part of the supply chain didn't share data effectively with another. This made it difficult to see the whole picture or respond quickly to disruptions. Companies with fully integrated systems where data from manufacturing, inventory, shipping, and sales all flowed together had a big advantage. Real-time visibility and centralized control became key competitive differentiators. In response, businesses began updating their systems. They started investing in smarter platforms that not only collect real-time data, but can also analyze it and flag risks automatically. Some companies now use machine learning to track variables like delivery, speed, raw material shortages, and even global news to predict where the next supply chain disruptions might happen. Others have turned to advanced digital twins, virtual models of their supply chains that can be tested and simulated in different crisis scenarios. Still, the pandemic taught everyone an important truth. Even the most advanced technology can fail if it's not built to handle unpredictable global-scale disruptions. That's why many firms are shifting toward a hybrid approach, combining automation with human decision making. They're not plugging in tools and walking away. Instead, they're training supply chain managers to understand the data, question the algorithms, and adjust strategies in real time. Enterprise solutions have become the backbone of modern businesses, allowing organizations to streamline operations and make smarter, data-driven decisions. One major area transformed by these systems is supply chain management. Through the use of Management Information Systems, or MIS tools, companies are now able to track and manage their supply chains in real time. These tools play a vital role in integrating key processes like production and distribution, making it easier to manage both upstream and downstream activities. Whether it's keeping an eye on incoming components from suppliers or ensuring that deliveries reach customers on time, MIS provides real-time visibility that keeps everything running smoothly.
What's even more impressive is how businesses are now leveraging technologies like artificial intelligence to take supply chain management to the next level. AI allows for smarter demand planning by using predictive analytics, accurate forecasting, and automated systems to not only enhance decision making, but also reduce operational costs and improve efficiency. Chapter 7 also highlights how tools like IoT and RFID are used to track products across warehouses and delivery platforms. These technologies map out complex multi-tier supplier networks and offer real-time updates on inventory, shipments, and assets, leading to greater transparency and fewer losses. Supply chain mapping tools also come into play by visualizing intricate networks, helping companies identify risk, and boosting overall resilience. But supply chain efficiency is only part of the bigger picture. Customer relationship management solutions also play a key role in enterprise systems. These tools help manage the entire customer journey from initial contact to post-sale service, ensuring that customers stay informed, supported, and satisfied. CRM systems often work hand in hand with supply chain tools to make sure orders are fulfilled accurately and efficiently, bridging the gap between a company's internal operations and its external relationships. Together, supply chain and customer relationship management solutions have revolutionized how businesses operate, making them more connected, transparent, and responsive to both their partners and their customers. In response to the massive disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, businesses were forced to rethink how they manage their supply chains. One of the most important solutions was improving supply chain visibility. Many companies realized they lacked real-time insight into where products and components were along the supply chain, making it nearly impossible to respond quickly to disruptions. By implementing digital tools like the Internet of Things, GPS, and RFID tracking, businesses can monitor inventory and shipments more closely, with experts recommending 70 to 80% visibility to handle crises effectively.
Companies also began diversifying their supplier base and manufacturing locations, moving away from relying solely on one country or region, especially China. Building regional supply chains helped reduce the risk of total shutdown when one part of the world was hit hard. At the same time, many organizations started reevaluating just-in-time inventory models that left them vulnerable when demand suddenly spiked or dropped. Businesses like Delmed, which kept a larger safety stock, fared better than those with minimal reserves. While keeping more inventory and sourcing from multiple locations can raise costs, it can also build resilience. On top of that, companies began investing in automation and reshoring, bringing some production back home as labor costs became a smaller part of overall expenses, thanks to advanced robotics and smart manufacturing. Another key solution was adopting advanced analytics and artificial intelligence, or AI. Companies like Procter and Gamble use machine learning to improve demand forecasting, adjusting their supply plans in real time. However, even the best AI models struggled during the pandemic because they relied heavily on the historical data. This highlighted the need for human oversight. People who could interpret projections and adjust decisions when the models failed to capture unprecedented shifts in consumer behavior. Some firms also embrace supply chain mapping, a time-consuming but invaluable process that identifies all suppliers, including the low-tier ones, to reveal hidden risks. While costly, this allowed companies to prepare effective recovery strategies during crisis. In the end, businesses learned that technology alone isn't enough. They had to balance efficiency with resilience, sometimes accepting higher costs in exchange for supply chain security.
These business solutions, spanning technology, strategy, and risk management, helped companies become more agile, better prepared, and more competitive in a world where uncertainty has become the norm. The lessons learned from the pandemic have reshaped supply chain strategies worldwide. Companies are now investing in smarter systems, real-time tracking, and diversified sourcing. As technology continues to advance, businesses must balance efficiency with resilience to build stronger, more adaptable supply chains, equipped to withstand future disruptions.